For a horse to achieve a high level of performance, a proper foundation is critical. So on this segment, I'm just really going to talk about how I go through saddling a colt for the first time. I'm a really big believer in using another horse to get that done. I mean, truthfully, I'm pushing this little dun horse probably beyond what he's ready for. I probably should have used a more seasoned horse during this training session, but hey, they all got to go to work at some point. So I used Dunny to kind of get this little black colt warmed up. So this little black colt is from Miracle Land and Livestock, Patty Frericks out in Oregon. Really talented, cool little colt. Just quiet and gentle. Hasn't really been handled a lot, but he's 2. And so in this first part, I just kind of like taking him around. And there's a couple reasons for this, for me kind of snubbing him to another horse like this. There's a lot of shock when you first saddle a horse and when you first get on a horse, right? And I'm trying to reduce the number of things that shock these babies when I get on them. So one of them being me being over the top of them, me being kind of by their backs. And you can see he's not too sure. He doesn't want to really get that close to me. But we're just going to kind of work through that, right? It doesn't have to happen fast. We just sometimes got to take it slow. So I'm going to pause right here, and then I just kind of bend over and pet on him a little bit, just to let him know, hey, if I'm above you, it's not a big deal. You're not going to get hurt. Everything's okay. And you can actually notice there's a ton going on in the background of this arena right now, and I actually love that, because when you train a horse in adverse conditions and train them to focus on you, you're just going to be winning that much more, right? It's one thing to train in a round pen with 8-foot walls that nothing ever spooks the horse. You totally control the environment. But I'm a big believer in kind of getting them in environments that you're not totally controlling, and that's exactly what's happening here at this indoor arena. So you can still see this colt is still kind of pacing behind me, and yeah, I could like slow down, I could turn some more circles. The other thing is I was using somebody else's halter and lead rope setup, and it was too long actually. For this exercise, I actually only want about 8 feet, and this rope's like 12. So it's about 4 feet more than I actually want when I'm snubbing like this. But there, he kind of picks up and starts getting next to me here, and then he'll drop back. I love these public arenas though, because number one, there's usually some pretty cool people that are showing up, and that I can kind of get tips and try to improve on a little bit. I'm going to try to pick up Blackie here, maybe turn into him a little. And this is where Dunny, like this little dun horse, is a little bit less seasoned than he should be for me to snub him. You can see like side passing into this little colt. He wasn't really taken very well. And at this point, I don't have a ton of rides on this dun horse. You guys have seen a couple other videos of him. But now I'm going to go the other way. You got to work both sides. He drags here a little bit. And if they're really dragging, I'll actually start turning some tinier circles. Which I didn't do here, and I probably should have, but he's coming a little closer. Then drags. Then he'll get closer, and then he'll drag, and then Dunny'll throw a fit a little bit, but there. So you guys get a kind of a sense. I'm really just trying to get this black colt to start to pace next to me a little bit better. And so I'll turn these smaller circles, try to bring him into me, stop, reach over and pet him, just kind of get him ready again for some things moving above him and around him. And I also, having them next to another horse when they're pacing just keeps them quieter. I started horses just from the ground. I've started them from the back of another horse, and they do a little bit better. So here I'm going to kick him up a little bit. We're going to work into a trot. He's really dragging here. But I hadn't snubbed this little black colt a whole lot, so this was about the first day I had him. Try to move those smaller circles. I had to dally a little bit because he was pulling back so hard. And this is good for this dun horse too, because we really haven't branded yet. We'll brand a little bit on him this spring and kind of see how he does, but it's good for him to feel that pressure on the horn from these colts. There, he starts pacing next to me a little bit better. And I know there's a lot of guys that are, better at this than me, but, I hope one of the things people will take away from this channel is that, just get out and work on it. Just get out and do stuff. It's good for us to just try. Cool. Now I'm going to have him switch sides. Make a tight little circle. And he's dragging here a little again too. He really dragged on this side. He did not do that great, but it's okay. We don't ask perfection from a colt that's just been standing in the pasture. So I slow back down here because if they can't do it slow, they're not going to do it fast. So I slow down for some tighter circles for a minute. I try picking him up again. He's still just dragging. So now he's picked up. You can see he's kind of working into the hip of that black horse, and then he pulls back a little. Try petting him on the nose a little bit so he feels maybe comfortable jigging next to us. Part of the challenge here with, again, a less experienced horse, and especially kind of this dun horse is a longer legged. He's got a little bit bigger gait. So for a littler kind of black cut and bred horse like this, again, I probably wouldn't use him. I got a sorrel gelding I probably should have used that's 14.3. He's got a little bit shorter step, and he would have been better on this. He's more broken. He would have been a little bit more patient, I think, than this dun horse, but there. Reach down and pet him again. So at this point, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of a reset with some of my gear, checking cinches on Dunny because I wasn't loping him with, really. I was working him a little bit earlier before this, and I didn't have a cinch really tight, and where this black colt had been kind of pulling on that saddle horn a little bit, wanted to resituate. Some tight circles here. Now we're going to switch sides. And he frees up a little bit more there, so I kind of stop him and rest a little bit. And then this is where we start to move into kind of the next section here. So after I've jigged him and snubbed him a little bit, now I'm just going to kind of use this lead rope. And this is where I do like having a little bit longer lead rope, but this is where I'm going to come in, bring the flag in. But this longer lead rope enables me to kind of loop it around his wither and his belly and work this flag a little bit. He really doesn't like it, especially around his head. Now I got to work the other side. He does a little bit better here. And I want that under their legs. I want it under their, belly, around their back. He starts to settle in, so work this other side again because he wasn't as good on that side. There he goes. Kind of settles in. So now I'm just going to kind of flip that lead rope around. I'm trying to remember who I learned this from, but it's a pretty good little tactic, and just kind of go all around them. And if they start losing it, just kind of pull them into you again. Try to get it around their flanks, around their belly. And I'm not trying to whip hard over here. I'm just trying to get this rope around him, get him used to the pressure and the movement. Get his mind in the right spot. Same thing on this side. Start on his neck and his wither and slowly move back. And then I want to get around his, and here I'm just kind of getting him ready for a cinch, right? Just kind of getting the rope around him, around his belly, then kind of moving his feet, because sometimes they're fine when they're frozen up and you have that rope around them, and then you start moving them and then they come uncorked. So, and he didn't react at all, so I just kind of move on. And there's times when I'll use a flag to kind of desensitize, and then there's other times I'll use it to apply pressure. And this little colt's trying to figure that out this time, and I was giving him a lot. Like, you know, we were moving kind of fast through this first session of saddling, but sometimes that's how it goes. He hadn't really been lunged before, so this is kind of his first go round being lunged. Switch directions, apply a little pressure on that other side. And this horse is definitely, I mean, we'll see how he is when he really gets under saddle, but thus far, everything we've worked on, he's way more whoa than go. You can see he kind of loses it here. I kind of have to pull him back to me because you can see there's tons going on here. He got a little distracted by this horse on the right side. But again, this is where I say training in adverse conditions is good, right? I mean, there are times when you want to control the environment, but I like training in adverse conditions, and because I can bring him back to me, and I'm hopefully over time building his focus so he knows, hey, regardless of what's going on, when Riley's around me, I got to pay attention to him. But really nice little colt. I like how he moves. He wants to pause by his buddy over here, which is totally normal. He's a herd animal. Just got to bring him back to me, refocus him. When we shot this video, it was too wet outside. I mean, my round pen at home is not covered, and it was a muddy, snowy mess, and that's where I like starting colts the first time, because even though there's a lot of stuff going on kind of all the time, it's still a little bit it's a little easier to help them focus on this first time around, but we got to use the tools we have available to us, and at the end of the day, again, it's good for them to train with this other stuff going on. Cool. So pretty happy with that. Now time to reset and start getting him ready for saddle. I'm going to grab this blanket. Just going to practice throwing it on him a little bit out in the center. I don't ever do this. I really try not to work them right on the fence because I want them to feel like they have an escape. Horses do not like to feel pinned down. It's one of the things that scares them the most. So especially when we're introducing all these new ideas to them, coming to the center of the round pen is pretty important, so they feel like they have an escape if they need it. But you can see, I mean, he's just doing awesome. He's never had a blanket thrown on him until this session, and it's like it's no big deal. Really, really cool little colt from Miracle Land and Livestock. All right, so now time to pull this dun horse out of the pen. Time to do a little bit of a reset. That's not true. Reset. Didn't cut that part out. This is where I pull this little dun horse out of the round pen because I'm going to get ready to put the saddle on this little black horse and then start jigging him around a little bit. So we'll cut 1913 to 2058. I'm just going to carry the saddle to the center of the round pen again. This is where I kind of want things to happen. If you guys remember from like the very first video we did, this is the Coriani Ranch cutter that I use. So this is one of the saddles I use for colt starting because it's a cheap saddle. I don't care if it kind of gets the crap beat out of it. I'm going to bring him up, just kind of let him smell. You know, it's another dead animal's hide that's wrapped up in that saddle, so it's probably something he's got to get used to. I'm going to fiddle a little more with this blanket. And you can see, again, he just does awesome. Patty Frericks does such a good job of raising these colts. She gets hands on them early. They get trimmed when they should, when they're a few months old. She just does a great job prepping these colts. But also the disposition of this colt is just stellar. It does not always go this way, and it's usually not this fast. So Clinton Anderson actually likes saddling him from the other side, and I get why he does that, because then you're just like right there next to undo your front and back cinch. But I'm in such a habit that I don't break it. See, he gets a little nervous. You can see he's just maybe a hair humped up here. I love leaving my rope on the saddle too, because it kind of bounces all over the place. It's good for him. Resituate that blanket. Get it where it needs to be on his wither. Grab that saddle again. Swing it on. And here I'm going to let down that front and back cinch. I kind of keep that lead rope folded in the crest of my arm or right in the corner, like by my elbow, so that if I need to grab it quick and kind of pull his head into me, I can. All right, so this front cinch obviously is going to be the critical part, right? So initially I'm just going to kind of let him feel that, get my latigo in. I'm not going to just snug it up tight and just grab it down, because that's going to be a recipe for disaster. So just kind of ease it up in there, take it nice and slow. Buddy John Morey keeps coming in on that left side of the screen.
All right, it's the end of the clip. 25 minutes, 24 seconds.
So a little discomfort there. He kind of kicks up that back cinch. That's okay. I'm going to come over and grab my flag. You got wheelbarrows going. You got people coming in and out of the arena. He's kind of stuck up here. There he goes. He's not really sure. I mean, again, this horse's initial response to everything is to just pause, and I actually like that. It's not to get away. That Dunn horse I was working him on, totally opposite. His initial response to everything is to sprint and get away from pressure. He's been kind of a bolter. But, I mean, we're kind of over that now. But early on, that was kind of my big challenge with the Dunn horse. But, I mean, this is a really great first saddling. Like, I mean, and that's not me. That's really the Colt. But, I mean, we certainly did our prep work. We did our homework. But this just goes so smooth. You really can't ask for a better first-time saddling than what we have here. Anyways, guys, I mean, that's really it. I just kind of keep working him in circles. I mean, that's kind of how I go about saddling a colt for the first time. It's one of my favorite parts of horsemanship is just getting these babies and kind of starting them out. I love raising them, and I love kind of getting them to this stage of the game through kind of those first 60, 90 rides, and then kind of really starting to make a tool out of them. Happy training. Adios.